Good evening, everybody. It is with great joy and excitement that I welcome you to the maiden edition of the Creative Tribe, Shaping Culture and Reforming Society. This is more than just an event. This is the birth of a movement, a gathering of kingdom-minded creatives, innovators, and professionals who are passionate about making a difference in our world through faith-driven excellence and purpose. We live in a time where culture is constantly evolving and society is being shaped by voices, ideas, innovation. As kingdom ambassadors in the marketplace, entertainment industry, and beyond, we are called to be at the forefront of this transformation, to shape culture rather than be shaped by it, to reform society rather than conform to it. Creative Tribe exists to inspire, to educate, connect, and catalyze change among like-minded individuals who desire to influence their industry with kingdom values. Every month, we will gather together to engage with thought-provoking speakers, insightful discussions, and meaningful connections. Our format includes a dynamic talks from leading voices in storytelling, business, and theology. An interactive panel discussion will also follow, and networking opportunities to foster collaboration. Through these sessions, we aim to equip and empower each of you to navigate your spheres of influence with wisdom, creativity, and faith. Our theme this month is Sacred Spaces, finding sacredness in everyday life, building kingdom culture in the workplace and in society. This theme invites us to explore how we integrate our faith into every aspect of our daily lives, transforming ordinary moments into divine encounters and shaping our environment with kingdom values. As we embark on this journey, I encourage you to open your hearts and your ears, engage actively, and build relationships that would extend beyond this room. This is a space for growth, inspiration, and transformation. Thank you for being part of this first edition. Let's dive in and begin shaping culture and reforming society together. Welcome to the tribe, Creative Tribe. Thank you. So, as I said, we are going to switch things up a bit, and I believe that we are all creatives, and I would like to meet everybody, actually. Can we get another mic? Again, remember I mentioned that this is also an opportunity for you to connect and meet people. So we are all here to connect. So I'm going to go around with the mic. And I'd like to meet you. I'd like to hear what you're doing or what you intend to do. Hi, Douglas.
Okay, yes. Hi.
So let us meet you.
Hi, my name is Douglas.
Hi, Douglas.
I'm a software engineer. But I run a creator-focused company. It's called Seller. We're like a tool for creators to monetize their knowledge through like any kind of like digital products. So that's kind of just like our whole thing. We've amassed quite a decent amount of usership. And I mean, I'm here more for like a Thursday like service, but like I'm also just really excited about this conversation. What's inspiring me now? Making a lot of money this year.
Yes, very important.
I guess making a lot of money this year, and also just doing work that I'm really, really proud of, and reaches a lot of people. I enjoy, I guess, how much usership we've grown over the years, and I really want to see just how much more we can do with that. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Douglas, for sharing. Hi, Jeffrey.
Okay, hi everyone. Good evening. My name is Jeffrey, and I work as a designer. That's product design, building experiences, digital experiences for users. and I also work with my agency to cater to the needs of businesses or clients who are in need of design services. And what we do essentially is to help these brands or businesses communicate their value to customers. And so far, we've majorly been working with fintech companies, not intentionally, but yeah, that's been a trajectory. But I look forward to doing more this year, having more clients outside of the financial services industry and also outside of Africa, because we've tried.
Yes.
Bratina. I'm currently planning my first event on the 16th of February, themed Cupid. And I'm so excited because there's a lot for Be The Flourish this year, like my music side. I'm currently recording songs. I'm going back to, everything I love to do. And I'm doing what I enjoy right now. So what to expect from me this year is a bundle of events, a bunch of events that are going to influence culture and transform lives. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi guys.
Hi.
My name is Chike, for people who don't know me. I currently co-found a social platform in the Web3 industry where we provide social tools to manage communities. It's exciting to announce that yesterday we launched our token, and
Congratulations.
that is
Oh, wow.
it's going well.
Yes.
We're hoping to be on a good place our token to be on a good place. And also, the next frontier for me also is that I'm aggressively going into agriculture. Yeah, that's a dream for me that used to happen my NYSC days, and I think I've sort of started doing a lot there, but now I'm going into full-time cassava farming on a very large scale. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, Chike. Congratulations on your token.
Hi, everyone. My name is Olabinjo Ebenezer.
Hi, Ebenezer.
I run a company called Esosa. Esosa is an AI that helps you plan itinerary when you come to Nigeria. So imagine you've been in the UK for like a couple of years and you're coming to Nigeria and you really don't know the terrain, accommodation and stuff. So you just go to the platform, have a conversation with it, and just build up an itinerary for you. And if you like it, automatically books it with the vendors. Yes. So yeah, that's what I do. My goal for 2025, the first one is to develop a tight-knit relationship with God. The second is become ultra productive, at least 300 days in the year. I designed a productivity log and scale for myself for the year. And it's been going good so far. At least today's 30th. At least I've been productive for like 21 days. So it's...
A round of applause to that, please. That's a big deal. That's a big deal.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. And what I'm really looking forward to in the 2025 is, I think at the end of 2024, I had the time to actually write an article. And I titled it 2024 for people in a hurry. And people in a hurry, yes. And one thing that 2024 taught me is that God's plan for humans, God's plan for the universe is deeply rooted in community. And I don't think we can achieve anything without being close to a community. So one thing I've been trying to do this new year is ensuring I serve in situations where community can be more embraced and I can actually foster relationship with loads of people. So yeah, and it's been going good so far. So yeah.
Congratulations, Ebenezer. Congratulations. Ife. No, the cup is not going to pass you.
My name is Effie.
Effie, thank you.
I don't want to talk about work today, but I can tell you what I'm doing. I'm currently writing a short poetry book, working on a spoken word album. That's sort of like a meditative album, but also like a spoken word album. And then I'm writing an ebook that I hope to put out like first half of the year. My goal for the year is to... Yes, I will. When you said it, I was like, oh, that's nice. I will use that. My goal for the year is pretty much just put myself out there more and stop thinking about whether stuff is perfect or not perfect or whether it's the right time and just get out of my own way and put myself out there. So, yeah.
Congratulations, Tim.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
My name is Dumebi. I am a lawyer. I work in fintech, but then tech generally, right, as a lawyer. I don't know if I would describe myself as a creative in that space, right? But the most creative thing I do, or what inspires me really, are stories. So I'm inspired a lot by stories. And anytime I have a chance to work with a client, right, I'm always amazed more by the client's story than the law behind it. So it's always more about, well, what's this guy trying to build? What's this contract going to help him build and all of that? That's literally what amazes me more, right? So maybe in that sense, I'm a creative. I'm just that guy that just loves to hear people's stories. I like to read people's stories, just immerse myself in people's experiences, right? What to expect from me more this year? I realized at the end of last year that I had lost my reading habit. So I went through like my reading list and I only read less than 10 books for the year and I felt bad. So hopefully this year, I hope to do at least 20 books. So I'm throwing it out there that for anybody who is interested in pushing me to read, that also likes to read, please, I'm your guy. Yeah, we hope to make more money, but money is not the goal for me. For me this year, I just want to do what I do best, right? Be a better transaction lawyer and all of that.
Congratulations in advance. Or being better.
Good evening, everyone.
Hi, good evening.
I'm Chooser by name.
Hi, Chooser.
I'm not that good in public speech, though. But I'll just try my best. I'm a creative, and I'm in different aspects of creativity. And one of my main goals this year is to focus on one aspect, which is the music aspect. Because I've been in different sides. I'm into graphic design, making cover art for my friends, writing content, writing music. So it's overwhelming. So I want to focus on one aspect, which is the music side. So that is my goal this year. So I just want to come out of my shell and connect with people that is in the creative space with me. So that is my goal this year.
Thank you, Chibuso. Hi, Isaac.
Hi, good evening. My name is Isaac Drote.
Hi, Isaac.
What do? I build products. Yeah, I think that's what I do. I build products. My goal for the year is to establish my brand, right? And what's the last one?
Really, what inspires you currently? Not necessarily what your goal is, but...
What currently inspires me?
Yes.
Things that get me angry gets me inspired.
Solving problems.
Things that get me angry gets me inspired at the moment.
I don't know why you inspire me, sorry. What? I don't know why I inspired. Actually, it's okay.
Hello, everyone, and
Hi.
good evening.
Good evening.
So am I supposed to say hi, everyone? Is that
Just introduce yourself and tell us what inspires you currently.
Oh, okay. So my name is Shadrach.
Shadrach.
Yeah, Shadrach May Samari, and I speak, okay? I'm in corporate. I'm the odd person here, sort of.
You're not, sorry.
I'm not?
You're not.
I'm unique, distinctively unique. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, so I work with an organization called Poise. Maybe you've heard about it. Yeah, and we are in the communication space, soft skills generally, okay? We try to make people better so that their organizations can be smarter. So we shape the minds of people, okay, so that they can be better in the workspace. So I head the programs department there and the faculty team as well. What makes or what inspires me when I see people do the right thing, yeah, especially work-wise. So I get them inspired to actually do the right thing. So when I see them on that lane, that track, I feel excited about it. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shadrach. Hi, you're welcome. Just introduce yourself. Tell us what's currently inspiring you. I think that'll be our last speaker, so we can move along.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mirabelle. Hi. I think what inspires me is actually seeing people do amazing things, like seeing them come out and being the best version of themselves, being true to themselves. That's what inspires me, because it makes me want to be exactly like that. Just step out and be the best version of myself, yeah. That's all.
Thank you so much. I think I'll just take one more person. Just pass the mic, yes.
Good evening, everybody. So my name is David Ikechukwu. Yeah. So what inspires me is really a prospering society. When you look at this country, right, you just see that there's a lot more that can be done and a lot of dignity to be restored back to people. So that really inspires me. So I work in the finance space, and I know that money plays a huge role in helping people's lives. So if there's a way we can make it such that the basic needs of humanity is not a problem, maybe people will focus on more dignifying things, so that's what really inspires me in the finance space.
Thank you very much. Once again, you're all welcome. Now we would like to go to the second segment, which is the speech. We're going to be listening to our speakers for today. They're going to be sharing their ideas and what currently inspires them. We have here Ike Obi. He's the CEO of Allvative Resources Limited. You're welcome. Allvative, okay. Allvative, you're welcome, sir. Please, a round of applause to our speaker. Also, we have Ms. Boluji. She is the co-founder of Coffee & Co. Also, we have here Mr. Ice Nweke. He's a lot. He's a creative, I would like to put that. But first, we would like to invite Mr. Ike Obi for his 15 minutes inspiring session. Thank you.
Good morning, guys. Hey, good evening, Sorry. Now, when person wake up, 9 in the morning, so I just wake up. Hi, guys. I have been marooned into holding microphone. My name is Ike Obi, or Ofuja name offload, for those who know. I'm the CEO of Allvative. So a little backstory. I am what you would call a tech bro. But the twist is I'm no longer a tech bro. Now I'm a farmer. And I'll tell you how that happened. I've always wanted to I've always thought of myself as a creator, as a maker. So getting into tech was for me, it was a quick way to try to start solving problems. Tech, as a young person growing up, tech kind of gave me the autonomy. Everything you need to start building is in a laptop, is in a computer in front of you. So I don't need to, I don't need expensive equipment. I don't need construction sites. I don't need any skill other than typing and just understanding how the computer works. But after a while, I tried my hands on multiple things. They all failed. Then I joined Paystack in 2017 as employee number 15, I think. Between 15 and 17, one of the two. And then I left Paystack in 2020. But after I left Paystack, I realized that I didn't know what to do next. I was no longer feeling excited about tech, mostly because I was looking at the kind of solutions that we're building in Nigeria, and I was not excited about it. I was also very, very concerned about how to be of value to my environment, how to be of value in Nigeria. I always knew I was going to be here. So I tried my hands on a few things until I landed in agriculture last year. So I'm going to talk you through how I landed in agriculture. I have been, starting from the pandemic, I've always been curious about why there was so much poverty in a world filled with so much abundance, right? And the picture in my head, the picture that used to puzzle me is like, just imagine like a poor man sitting under a tree. And the reason why that picture puzzles me is because it feels to me like the reality of the tree and the reality of the poor man are so wildly varied, right? And I started to really, really dig into why Bible says things like the whole earth is filled with God's goodness. And so I used to be very, very puzzled. The whole earth is filled with your goodness. Why are we hungry? The whole earth is filled with your goodness. Why is there poverty? And I spent a lot of time researching this and thinking about it until I ended up, last year I did a lot of study within Psalms and Proverbs, and I realized that a lot of what God calls his goodness was agricultural. It was in the ground. It was the fact that literally the first thing God created, that God caused to come out on earth, were trees, were plants, were grasses, herbs, and trees. The fact that you can take a piece of a seed and drop it into the ground, and a couple of months later it becomes an entire tree, right? It kind of became this fascination for me, and I realized that when God says the whole earth is filled with his goodness, he's saying that all the resources that is required for good life is already here. All of it. I want to read a scripture. I want to read a scripture that kind of tied it together for me. Just give me a second to pull it up. Okay, Psalm 105, verse 13 to 15. And it says, the earth is satisfied with the fruits of your work. He causes the grasses to grow for the cattle, the vegetation for the service of man, that he may bring forth food from the earth, and wine that makes makes glad the heart of man, oil to make his face shine, and bread which strengthens his heart. And then in verse 24 he said, O Lord, how manifest are your works! In wisdom you have made them all. The whole earth is filled with your possessions. So it kind of clicked. All these things are agricultural. The grass that causes the grass to grow for cattle, it's agricultural. vegetation for the service of man, agricultural, food from the earth, agricultural, wine, agricultural, oil to make his face shine, agricultural, bread to strengthen his heart, agricultural. And then he comes down, he says, the whole earth is filled with your possession. So it felt to me like what God wants to, like the possession, the fullness of God's possession is, at least according to this book of Psalms, primarily agricultural. And so I started, I'm like, At the same time, I was doing, without even realizing this I found out much later in the year, in December actually. But before then, I spent a lot of time just like shadowing some of my friends in agriculture. And I learned so much. I learned that Nigeria had over 60 million hectares of arable land that is not being cultivated. That is just, nothing is happening on it, right? I learned that 90% of the food that is produced in Nigeria is done by rural smallholder farmers who are very under-resourced, some underfunded, not well educated, don't have the right practices. And so their inefficiencies ripple in the sectors above them, so in the processors. So think about somebody who, like a cassava farmer, and he farms cassava. The person above him is this guy is smiling because he's having conversations with one of the people above them, which is the processor. So the person that turns cassava into gari, or cassava into starch, or cassava into, so that's where investment is coming out mostly. And then above them are the people who buy their processed cassava starch or their gari or whatever. And then before it gets to people who are consumer facing. So all of these other sectors are being heavily invested in, but the production layer is not being invested in. So it's being abandoned for people in the villages. So from there, I started to get some of the ideas that I'm looking to implement this year. So by divine inspiration, this year we are going to cultivate 1 million hectares. So it's not a prayer, it's done. It's done. It's completely done. It's not a prayer. We have done it. This is the logistics of how it's done. That's what we're working out. But yeah, I'm going to, so this is how I got to what I'm doing now. But I am going to talk a little about the mentality that got here, like the mental framework, the thinking process. I think that when I turned 30, one of the things that I realized was that I like somehow like I started thinking about myself very differently. I started getting this idea. I don't know where it came from, but I just had this unshakable notion that I am a king. Which is wild because nobody's a king in my father is not a king, my mother is not a king. But I started to, before this time, I had started to essentially allow God to redefine me. I realized something very powerful, that everything proceeds from identity. Who you think you are determines what you do. There's a lot of people who are trying to accomplish, but there's a dissonance between who they think they are and what they are trying to achieve. I realized that the easiest way to get anything is to be in the identity that gets it, right? And so when God started to teach me about being a king, I just let him, it was strange to me. But one of the things that happened for me last year is I started to see more of that. I spent a lot of time studying Psalms and Proverbs, and I started to understand what being a king means to God. To us, being a king means, you are the one on top. But to God, a king is somebody who he helps to administer his goodness. Do you understand? The idea of a king did not start in your village. Your Oba was not the first king. God was the king of kings before your Oba was a king. And the idea of a king is, when God says the whole earth is filled with his goodness, there are people who then ensure that goodness reaches last mile operations. If you think about the Moses in the wilderness, he was a ruler, and then he lined up everybody, and he was administering them one by one. And then his in-law said, "You are going to die." So what did he do? Bible said he had rulers of tens, rulers of 50s, rulers of hundreds. So the idea of a ruler is this person is responsible for the life of 10. This person is responsible for the life of 50. And I started to realize that that's what God was saying to me. And I saw a scripture in Proverbs 23, I think, 28, where he said, when the land transgresses, there are many rulers. I spent a lot of time meditating on that until I got a meaning. And I realized that what God is saying is that when a country looks like the way Nigeria is now, God starts to raise rulers. God starts to activate people who carry in their hearts a burden of responsibility for the people around them, for the 10, rulers of 10, rulers of 50s, rulers of hundreds. So that was one of the main mindset shifts that had to happen within my mind to start to think about, how can we unlock the goodness of God that is in the agricultural space. And then the second mentality, which is guiding me through the execution, specifically the execution, is creation is expression, right? We are, from inside us, we are producing outwardly, right? I am not achieving, I am producing. I am expressing, which means that I am looking from within me to find what to put out there. I am not looking outside to see what to inspire me in order to know. I am seeing that when God said, "Let there be light," it was because he was light. Light was already in him. He produced from within himself what is already in him. Bible said the invisible attributes of God was made manifest by those things that appeared. Romans chapter 1 verse 18. It means that everything God created out there was already something within himself. So I am coming as a king, but I'm realizing that the things that I'm going to do are things that are already inside me that are going to be coming out from inside me. That is the general, that's where I am right now. That is what I'm doing and where I am. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. A round of applause again for him, please. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Boluji Odufote. Boluji is a Nigerian professional with a background in mathematical economics, guys, and master's in global thoughts from Columbia University. Our work has explored critical issues like private infrastructure development in Nigeria. As a business analyst, she specializes in developing strategic solutions, but her passion lies in Nigeria's development, which led to her to co-found Coffee & Co., a thriving Lagos coffee house, a hub for community connection and empowerment. Please, welcome Boluji.
Good evening, everyone. So, I'm just going to start off with a couple of orders from some of our regulars. So we have Kingsley. Kingsley comes in, and he always orders an Americano. He always gets an Americano in a takeout cup, even though he's dining in. He just likes the cup. That's Kingsley. Then we have Mr. Dabasaki, who comes in, and he comes in always requesting a peach tea, and he wants it in a teacup. We also have Chinedu, who comes in, and he also gets a tea, but a chai latte this time, and he also gets it with a donut. Then we also have Solomon. Solomon comes in, and he always requests a caramel latte macchiato, which is a very extremely sweet drink. And in a few hours, he then requests for an Americano. So sometimes you walk in, and you see maybe 2 or 3 of these regulars, and they're in a conversation. They could be talking about politics, they could be talking about crypto, sometimes talking about Nigeria. When you see them speaking, you tend to think that maybe they've known each other for a very long time. These people were strangers until Coffee & Co. They met at Coffee & Co. And now you can see them at Coffee & Co. exchanging ideas, collaborating. So, why am I telling you about these are regulars? And how does it relate to the bio that MJ kindly read out? About my interest in the built spaces and how it connects to economic development. So I can tell you a very direct lineage, like a direct linkage between Coffee & Co. and economic development. Some of them are very straightforward. So the first one, productivity. So let's talk about how we're in Nigeria, a developing country where the power is not as stable. So imagine yourself, you're in a corporate meeting, or perhaps you have a deadline, and in that meeting, you're discussing with people possibly abroad. You're sitting at home, and all of a sudden, the light cuts out. Perhaps you're writing that dissertation, or you're writing to meet a deadline, the lights cut out, you're hot, you're sweaty, you're trying to complete your deadline. Something that maybe should have taken you an hour is now taking you 3 hours, and you have a headache. And that's because something very particular about our developing countries, infrastructure that should be at the background, is now being pushed to the foreground. How does Coffee & Co. come into play? So people come in to work. They find a conducive environment that allows them for a couple of hours while they're there to just forget about some of Nigeria's problems. They can sit, they can work, know that light isn't a problem, know that they're in a conducive place where they can also get fed. So that's one of the more direct connections between us and economic development in Nigeria. Then the other one that's also very direct, which I'm very proud to say, is that Coffee & Co. uses Nigerian beans. We also roast and get from a roastery in Lagos. So that's something that we're very proud to say when customers come in as well, that we're feeding into the community, not just within the Coffee & Co. community, but the greater community of Nigeria at large. Then there's the more nuanced linkage, and that's community. Now, this now relates back to the stories I told of my regulars that come in and how they feel a bit of connection with themselves and also with the brand. So with Coffee & Co., we're more than just a coffee house. We're a third space. Now, I guess some people might ask, what is a third space? So before I even speak about what a third space is, let me just explain what a first and what a second space is. So a first space typically is your home. It's where you're born into, where you grow up in. That's the first space that you're comfortable in. Then the second space is school or work, depending on what phase of life you're in. That's the second space where you get to interact with the world at large, and also kind of, in a sense, becomes your own space as well. Then third spaces come in, so they are the middle ground of those two. Third spaces are where you meet, you greet, and you linger. There are places where your social life can be linked to. There are places where communities are formed, where you engage with other people. Third spaces are also known to improve quality of life. And if the quality of your life is better, you also tend to be more productive in the economy at large. So let's talk about Coffee & Co. and third spaces. How does Coffee & Co. make sure that we are a space that facilitates this kind of conversations? I mean, there's the first thing of what the space physically looks like. We're a small space, so you're kind of forced to kind of interact with the space and with other people. We're also very deliberate in how we've arranged certain things to kind of foster that conversation. We're a space that I'm proud to say that if you're sat there, you don't feel some type of way if somebody reaches out to say hello. There might be other spaces where you might feel a little bit uppity, having to reach out or just engage someone. But with this space, it's kind of expected, even though sometimes it does bug me when I'm trying to work. But notwithstanding, the openness of the space kind of allows you to now engage and get to know someone. You can reach out because maybe you saw something they were doing and just engage them like, hey, I see that you're doing X, Y, Z, and a conversation and a friendship can form from there. So that's just me talking about how the space is set up. Then there's something that we're also very deliberate about in ensuring that our staff also know who we are and what we stand for. So a lot of the times when my staff come in for an interview, I tend to ask them first, what did you think while you were here? I like to give them a few, like maybe 20 minutes to just sit and observe. So I want to make sure that for someone who doesn't know who we are yet, that message is being passed across. So it excites me when they come and say, oh, I liked that it was very welcoming. Everybody was doing their thing, but you could see the way people are bantering with each other. It feels warm. And that's a key to me because it means that for someone who doesn't really know from us telling them who we're trying to be, that we're already passing that message across. So even during trainings, I try to make sure that they remember what they said and make sure that they're also part of facilitating that for the next person. So that's something deliberate that we also do. Another thing that we do in terms of facilitating this community is storytelling. We try to host events that can get people to come together, so things like stories over coffee. So if someone comes up with a theme and we all come round and people share stories about their lives that relate to that particular theme. We like to be a space where you can sit, hear someone talk, and you can relate with that and say, yes, that's happened to me too. And if it hasn't happened to you, it could be something that, oh, I've never thought about it before like that, or I've never seen the world in that perspective before. So that kind of storytelling and engagement fosters community. I'm grateful for the community here because they've also supported the community that I'm trying to build with us hosting games nights. So that's also part of the events that we try to do to foster community with our guests as well. So I've spoken about the space, I've spoken about events that we're doing. So I've spoken about quite a number of things that we do to try and foster that community within Coffee & Co. I've spoken about our stories, and I now want to speak about collaboration. So we also try to create a place where people feel like there's a platform for them to come and exhibit their talents, etc. So I'm sure a number of us know about Love Notes with BF here. I'm sure we've all been to one of Love Notes with BF. You might be shocked to know that the first ever meeting about Love Notes with BF was on a table at Coffee & Co. We're very proud to say that the first event for Love Notes with BF started within our four walls. And that community has grown so much that it has expanded beyond our four walls. So Coffee & Co. wants to be a part of our guest stories. We want people that can walk in and say, okay, at some point in my life, Coffee & Co. was where I spent my time. Coffee & Co. was where I engaged with other people. Coffee & Co. was where I birthed that idea. That's a kind of experience that I've had elsewhere that I've tried to now bring in here as well. So we've had people that have come in studying for the accounting exam. So now when they're telling you about the accounting exam, they can always come and champion, actually, in that phase of my life, I spent time here studying. So I've spoken to you about how we can be a part of your story. I've spoken to you about our story. And I'll be excited to hear more about the stories of the individuals here. So I'd love to grab a coffee with any of you and have a chat with any of you, perhaps possibly at Coffee & Co.
Ooh, okay. Thank you. Honestly, I've been to Coffee & Co. a lot, and I can testify to that environment. There's just a thing about it. You know, you just, whenever I have this, there's this times where I'm not able to be as productive as I want to be, so I need to change location. And Coffee & Co. is one of those places that I know that once I get there, work flows. All right, without much ado, ladies and gentlemen, I feel like no, this is a lot. Okay, there's a lot of pressure here. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Nnamdi Nweke, a true creative force. He is a true creative force with over 15 years of experience. Ice is a multifaceted visual and performing artist. He's an award-winning creative director, VFX artist, set designer, professional dancer, and aspiring filmmaker. He even invented Afro Tap, a dance form showcased to 10,000 dancers at Tap Fest, Washington, D.C. And he's Nigeria's first certified Latin ballroom dancer. Ice is, yes, please, I'm going to give a break so you can clap. Ice is also a renowned dance instructor and choreographer with a 17-year tenure at the Society of Performing Arts in Nigeria. His paintings have graced exhibitions in Lagos and New York, and he is sought after speed painter. Yes. Do you know what that is? No, actually. Okay, think about speed and think about painting. Yes, speed painter. A chef, an actor to boot. I know. Ice's diverse talents have earned him the title of creative genius. Let's give a warm welcome to Ice Nweke.
Good evening. Wow, that was a long read. But we give glory to God about it. I learned something growing up. There was this trick that Jacob did when he was about to leave Laban. I've always said I learned something from that he got the sheep when they were in the heat, when they were mating, to look at branches that he has cut. So when they gave birth to what they were looking at. So that never left me. I believe that when you're in the heat of something, especially when you are creating something, or if you're in an environment where you are birthing something, what you look at is very important, because that is what you give birth to. At the age of 5, at least, I think, my dad got me, before that time, my dad got me 3 films that sort of, I guess it's still in the plan. I believe that the way the earth is wired, based on God's own plan, that he said that even when you were in your mother's womb, I knew you. He made sure that every part of our life, whether you are in the world or not, you're not in the world, everything about what will make you is always constantly revolving around you. It's left for you the day you wake up to see it, and then you start working in it. My dad bought 3 films. One was Electric Boogaloo, which was breaking, the first ever breakdance film. The second one was Romeo and Juliet, the first ever classical Romeo and Juliet that was a pantomime done in a way that I've never seen before. I think the movie came out in 1975. And then the last one was Charlie Chaplin. So I spent time laughing as a little child growing up. And I spent time watching. I think I watched those films till they left the VHS tape. I watched it till it was gone. But I didn't know that seeds that were being sown in as a little child growing up. But I couldn't still dance. I mean, if you know people that like card games back then in school, when you have all those football games and everything, you can treasure it. It's a big treasure. I gave out all of that to my friends that could dance, so they can just dance in front of me, and they will dance, and I'll laugh, and I'll scream, and I'll tell them to do it again. I literally was selling everything I had to just get them to dance for me. All through primary school, all through secondary school, I still couldn't dance. And then in the university, I found out I could dance somehow. And from dancing, I became like the first 10 in my department that the department would take serious for traditional dance. I was among the first 10. And by then I was drawing. I was doing almost every most beautiful girl poster in school. I was the go-to guy to draw them, make them up and everything. So that was for me, living, doing theater, doing designs, going party, having fun, and just living life. And then, and one thing I always love about Nigeria, I love Nigeria. I love Nigeria more than any other country. Nigeria is not structured. It shouldn't be where it should be. But the issues in the country sort of, if you somehow could adapt to it, it can make you beat it and rule it and have dominion over it. And so what happened in, I think it's around 2000, there was a strike that happened in school, lasted for 6 months. Everybody left school. By then I was moving from theater arts to, I went to leave theater arts to visual arts. My HOD chased me out. Say like, some of the best students shouldn't leave, because I was like, every play, I was building the set for every play. I would light for every play. If I can't light or build, I'll probably act, because I had Sam Dede as my school father then. So I was literally fully into theater. But a part of me was pulling me to go into visual, because I love to draw, I love to paint. But the only thing I could draw or paint in school was show posters that I could do overnight, and that wasn't, for me, that wasn't what I wanted to do. Even though my father insisted that I go into architecture, he did everything humanly possible, like everything. Because back then, artists, you see them on the roadside. So you're like, my first son cannot be a roadside artist, so you should better go and learn how to architecture and everything. And for me to learn architecture, I had to do physics. And I read physics. Trust me, I read physics. And I read it, and I read it. And I failed it, and I failed it. And I had to tell him that the way you saw me read night and day, and I still failed, it should be a sign that we should not push this. So somehow he allowed me to continue in the arts. So when I wanted to switch from theater to visual, the HOD was like, it's not happening. So I had to wait 1 more year for him to leave the department so I can switch to visual arts. So while I was doing visual, and it was a bit of a struggle, because I was like a joke in the department. You're like, you think this is acting where you can just jump here, dance here. This is serious work. And the interesting part was that when I was transiting from theater to visual, it was the same period I got saved. So it was a major issue, in the sense that being in theater, I was constantly having the parties, having the friends, having connections, because you're always on stage. Everybody wants to know, everyone wants to hang out with you. And I had access to a lot of things. But the process of me getting sick, the guy preached me till I got dizzy. Like, he was preaching I think he preached for an hour. I would squat, he would squat down with me. I would stand, because I was tired of standing. But finally, when I gave my life, I was like, God, I'm doing this because I want to go all in. So I was literally counting all the costs of going all in and not going back. Because I saw a lot of people, today they are saved, the next day they are the opposite. So switching to visual arts, the demand was completely different. But like, okay, what you used to do to get the funds, you can't do that anymore. So I had to like be, in a better word, legit in everything that I'm doing, so that this Christianity that I'm saying is clear. And I remember the first time I walked into the class, I couldn't afford, because practically halfway through school, I paid myself through university out. I couldn't afford most of the art materials, so I had to use a nail to hang my canvas on the wall. And for mostly art students, they will give you something to paint, but probably like this light stand here. Everybody is sitting around this, so I don't have the setup, the easel to set up and everything. So I had to hang it on the wall. So I would face the wall and I'd look at the stuff, and I was like a serious laughing stock. So when and so I just told God, it's you that I'm serving now. So if this is the way, the Christian way, no problem. It's the two of us that they will be laughing. So, and the funny part was that same period, I got a simple instruction, which was almost the same period went on that 6-month strike. 2 ladies were passing the window of this painting studio in school, And I heard the Holy Spirit whisper, Ice, in your former life, those two ladies, before they get to the bike to get to their hostel, you probably have their number. I said, yes. So, yes, I know that. Well, what are you saying now? Should I go and ask them for their number? He said, no. Go and ask them, which is very crazy. Go and ask them if any of them wants a painting, and you do it for 2,000 naira. I said, like, 2,000 naira, who does that for 2,000 naira? But like, God. So by the time when I was done with the argument, the ladies have gone. They've entered the back and they've gone. So the next day was a Sunday, so I went to church. So I was leaving, I heard this thing again. That your friend asked her for a painting, that all she needs is to give you 2,000 naira. I said, okay. When I told her, she thought I've lost it. But like, 2,000 naira, are you okay? I was like, please, just 2,000 naira. And she gave me her picture. I said, and she's been desiring to paint herself. So she gave me 2,000 naira there and then. I took the picture and I was like, that money is for the art materials you need, which you don't have in class because you've been asking people, begging people for art materials. So I just used the 2,000 and bought what I needed. And I did her painting. The day I was taking it to the carpenter to stretch, but then the school was on that 6 months strike. I asked for, a guy stopped me on the road, like, oh, nice painting, who did that? I was like, it's me. He said it's a lie. I was like, I'm the one that did it. He said it's a lie. Okay, take me to your studio. So I took him to where I was living. Same wall, another wall, nail there, bucket of paint, flattened spoon to use to mix the paint. We're like, are you serious? He said yes. He said he works with the local government people in Bayelsa, and they have about 20 people that they want to do a send-off to. They need portraits of them. And I was like, it's 2,000 naira. Guy was like, I was following instructions. I'm going somewhere. I was following instructions. And the guy said, are you serious? I said, yes. Then the guy counted 2,000 for the 25, gave it to me. I bought all the money. By the time school came back, I was leading my sets and the sets before me. But that was not even what put me on the path where I was. What put me on that path was that same period was the best time ever. They've gone back home. They've come for holiday. I stayed back in school, and I had a lot of conversations with myself, with God, and with the Holy One. Like, God, I can dance very well. I paint. You threw me into theater. As much as I fought to enter IMT, which I would have just narrowed my focus down to just visual arts, somehow you brought me to Uniport, and I ended up going to theater arts and now visual arts. Why is it that all the exams that I tried to get out of this to just none of them passed? Even my jam, I didn't even see it. So I need to understand. So that was the period I was reading this book on Maximize the Moment by T.D. Jakes. So I went on that sabbatical with me, God, and my art, and he pointed out something clear to me, that everything I've given you is under ART, art, everything. For now, what you're doing in school now, which is dancing and painting, focus on it and master it. There will be a time frame where you will not have time to be learning it, doing it, because you need room for other things to grow into. So I used that 6 months to rearrange my focus. So by the time my fellow classmates came back, lecturers came back, and a lot of things changed. My assignments, lecturers were using it as a lecture. Lecturers were telling the students that I am a lecturer, not a student, even when the students want to complain. So I found out that a lot of things changed because my mind shifted and I understood what I am. I started seeing clearly why some were giving 5. It was a whole lot of responsibility. You don't have time for yourself. Like, you have to find the fun in what you're giving. Otherwise, you lose traction in what you should do. So I continued in that way, left school, continued. But by the time I came into Lagos, I knew that there was a time for me to move into another space, because now the painting is not a problem, the dance is not a problem, but the dance needed to grow, because part of the instruction was you need to take the dance to a level of mastery, because Nigerian system didn't give me that room. So that's when I went further to start training to get masters in dance. And then while doing that, I was still working on the set, theater, getting more back why. So the seeds that were sown back then, what I looked at over and over, growing up, what I went through school, started becoming part of, started making sense with the little dreams I would have here and there. Oh, shows, productions, sets, lights, screens. I was literally seeing so all those things started making sense. So I started basically aligning myself to everything. And one thing I've always learned for myself is that I try to hear. There was a day I was walking in one of the corridors in school. It was a dark corridor. I felt almost like my tomorrow was at the end of that corridor, beckoning on me to move closer. And the Spirit of God told me that your tomorrow is always ahead of you. What you need to do is align constantly to see the steps you're meant to take. So the steps you're meant to take, my word is like a lamp unto your feet, a light unto your path. If you follow through it, because I knew you when you were in your mother's womb, I know how I've planned out your stuff. So if you follow that path, you constantly become what I created you to be. So even this morning, when I woke up this morning, I was asking myself, how can I define anything about me? There has to be more than just the painting, the sets, or the dance. There has to be more. And that more, I always find that is in God and is in who He has already designed me to be, that I'm constantly chasing after. Because the more I become that, the closer I am to being who he has made me to be, and the closer I am to Him. The far away I drift from it, the far away I lose focus on everything, because the world can pull you in so many ways. And the wake of AI and what AI is doing, because I'm into tech, because I've done a couple of NFT drops, and I go fully in. I love tech. I love the tech. AI is the future. I always teach my friends that AI is in the Bible. So everything is in everything. There's nothing outside it. There's nothing in the world that is not in the scriptures. So I believe that the future has to do with tech, and the more I understand it, to use it as a tool, and than it not overriding how I think, make me more and more of a greater influence on this earth itself. So that's, in a short form, I hope I've been able to explain my journey.
Nah, that applause did not do it for. I'm like, are you guys, did you hear what I just heard? Wow, thank you so much. Thank you to our speakers. So right about now, we'll go into our interactive sessions where we would ask them questions and then we interact, and we hope to hear from the audience as well.
Hello, everyone. Okay, so now we're going to our panel session or our panel discussion. And we'll also have like a little Q&A after. So I'll just ask you guys a couple of questions, and of course, your well of wisdom will open up to us. Okay, the first question is, I think for Boluji, what was your aha moment? Like, what led you to create Coffee & Co?
I don't think it's that interesting. So, what led me to start Coffee & Co? There's a saying that when you listen to a lot of founders, they always say this thing of find a problem and then solve it. And I just feel like, but there are plenty of problems in this world. How do you know which one is your own problem to solve? So, but funny enough, that's what I'm going to say. So I used to work as a staff at Landmark. And I guess part of work culture from where I was from, it became tea and coffee. So especially if you've had a long night, in the morning, the coffee will get you through the day. So I found that, okay, I'll get to work, and I'm looking for coffee. And I didn't like the Nescafe, and I was just looking for something else. So I used to have to drive to like Krispy Kreme and all these other places trying to find coffee. And within the Landmark ecosystem, I'd been somewhere, and they'd served me coffee, but like horribly. So it was not like, I saw a space open up. And there was like a vision in my head of this would just make a perfect coffee shop. Like someone can just come in, and that was my own aha moment. So that was like, it's not that interesting, but find a problem that you have and you can try and solve it.
Okay, thank you. Ike. What about you?
My aha moments started in Ahava. Sorry. I don't think there was a moment. I think it was a process. But I don't even know what aha moment you're asking about now because the farm. Oh, okay. Oh yeah, I already talked about it. It was a series of things, about like 4 different. This thing. I think I was building a gift card project early last year. I'm laughing because she was my first client for that project. And I remember at some point I was just looking at this project like, okay, like, so if somebody asks you what you are doing in your life in Nigeria today, with everything that is happening, is gift card that you are working on. That was the first thing that happened. And I think that the next thing that happened was, at the time, I was, so my business, Alvative, my business has a relationship with MTN Momo. We kind of consult for them for technical support. I have some friends there. So one of them called me and said, hey, IK, we need help with, we need to increase transactions. Do you have contacts for betting companies? And I said, oh yeah, let me ask around. And I remember after that, I remember feeling very sad after that call because I have been excited about MTN coming into the payment space for like 20 years now. Because I don't know if you remember, like almost 20 years ago, they used to, but the first set of MTN mobile money came out, but they didn't really do anything about it. So as a tech person and as a payment enthusiast, I've been looking forward to that for 20 years. And my motivation was, these people will use their reach to bring digital payment services into like villages. I'm a village boy, forget this Lagos thing, into like the places that are closest to me. And here they are asking me for betting companies. It was really hurtful to see. I thought, it just pained me. There was a way it pained me. I'm like, so this is this. So when I say I was disillusioned with tech, these were some of the things that were causing it. The third thing that happened was, okay, let me be very honest with you. The third thing was happening was that I have a friend that was asking me to build an app for a poultry company, the people that sell day-old chicks. I just kept saying, how much really is inside poultry? He got someone else to build it. 2 weeks later, they had done like 135 million. And I was still begging this madam to let me sell gift card. To sell 10,000 naira, like, nah. I think that the final thing was there was a video, there was a Access Bank Economic Summit that they held. They had Bismarck Rewane, they had the Minister of Finance, they had the head of tax, Dangote was around, and it was like a 4-hour session, and they were talking about like the economic projection. And I remember just listening to them talking, and they were talking about all these things around oil and gas, about increasing like tax revenue, about diaspora remittance. And God just told me, see, they're not planning for the people. They are looking for money to fund budget. Do you understand? They are looking to grow tax revenue to fund budget. And we know what happens with the budget. Do you understand? But they're not planning for they're not. And last year was a very interesting year for me because God really just like opened it up for me. Like the logic was they are looking for what they can control. You can't sell oil without government. You must remit. So they are focusing on areas you can't do remittance without government. You can't, and then taxes remitted to the government. So, but all the other areas like agriculture, like all the areas that if you really invest in it, you would do a lot of good for a lot of people. They were not focusing on it. So God was saying, look at all the gaps. So this was how it all came together for me to just leave tech and start focusing. And then like what I said earlier about seeing that the goodness of God is really mostly agricultural. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you, Boluji. Thank you. Did you want to say something? No. Okay. This question is for Mr. Nnamdi and then IK. How do you integrate like kingdom principles into your work or in your industry?
I think I'll probably start with the first production that I ended up doing in Lagos. Because back in Port Harcourt then, because I was already working as the creative director for House on the Rock, Port Harcourt. So everything we're doing basically church, after service, church, but stepping outside of the four walls of a church and doing something and still tagging it church. And the funny part is that I am wired different. And I'm one person that, because of that, I'm not going to change once I get clarity on scriptures. This is what you're meant to do. Because there's a whole lot of things that the body of Christ is afraid of doing because they feel that it's not right. And it's not about being right. It's if it's God, then do it. So coming into Lagos, I had an opportunity of meeting the girlfriend of one of the founders of Vimeo. They were visiting Lagos, I think sometime around 2011. So we were talking and they were like, oh, what I plan to do? I'm trying to do my show, and it was about love. And the funny part was that when I came to Lagos for 9 years, God was silent. In Port Harcourt, I was doing literally everything. Oh, minister here, minister there, I'll do it. But as I left, which he said, it's time for you to move to Lagos, I came into Lagos. God was silent. There was nothing I didn't do. There was no crusade I didn't go to. There was no fellowship I didn't go to. There was no evangelic work I didn't join to go and see. But at the end of each of them, I was sad. I didn't understand why I was sad. When I got back and I said, God, why am I sad even when I'm doing your work? He said, because I told you, I gave you an instruction that you need to train for what I'm preparing. So that is why if I allow you to start having fun in what you're doing, you will stop what you're meant to do. So when he finally said start, so I decided to put up I didn't even decide to put up a story. He told me that I should tell a story about love. And I'm not the best person to tell a story about love. I'm not a preacher of love. So that was another battle, because like, God, I am still trying to even understand. I grew up in a dysfunctional family. My mom died when I was around 4 years old. My dad married another wife, and then another one, which made my life like a Nigerian movie. Like when we sit in the family house and we watch Nigerian films back then as a little boy, I was actually watching myself. And I was almost like the way you feel when you're watching Superman. Hello, that's Clockhead, that's Superman. Don't you guys see that this is the same guy? I'm like, can't you guys see what that little boy is going through? Is what I'm going through. So I was struggling. I have a problem loving. So why are you telling me to tell a story about love? But I found out that he basically was trying to get me to know his love. And that's the best way for him to tell me, because knowing the kind of person I am, if I'm doing something, I go to research it. I search everything about it. So what I'm telling you is authentic about it. So while working on that production, they were like, okay, what are you doing? I told them about it. They were like, well, that's nice. Sounds like, how do you plan to do it? I would love to integrate multimedia into the storytelling. I would love to integrate film into the storytelling. I would love to integrate art, because these are the things that I am exposed to. But I'm still trying to understand how to do it, because there is no reference point, which was another frustration for me. There is no reference point for me in this our amazing city to say, okay, this guy did it, so let me look at what he did and do. There was nothing like that. Even our partners then, Eco Hotel, they were, from what I even heard from the producer, they were at the verge of canceling the show, because they said nobody has done what this guy is saying, so we don't even see how possible, because if somebody has done it, we can say, okay, yeah, it's possible. So they were at that point. So they told me, okay, do you know what, have you seen Vimeo? Because we're all used to YouTube. We're like, no. Say, Vimeo is a cleaner version of YouTube. Just go to Vimeo and check what is there. And they sent me a link. By the time I spent a night just going through what was there, I saw literally creatives that are like, their arts are just insane. I was like, oh my God. So it sort of put my mind in a place I was able to pull the stories, break the stories that is in script form from, okay, actors, you're acting, from your acting, you're going to move onto the screen. So we'll film some on screen. So as you're coming out from the screen is a continuation. Some of the going back is animated. Coming out of the screen is the real thing. So we mix that with music and everything. And it was all telling the story about love. 1 Corinthians 13, because he told me that the whole earth asks the question from Genesis, what is love? I was able to come to 1 Corinthians 13 to tell them, love is patient, love is kind. So take that and make it into the story. And one of my biggest worry was like, how would they react to it? Because the audience were a mixture of expatriates and Nigerians. How would they react to it? Because I went all out. Yeah, I didn't hold back in saying this is a Christian show. Some of the scenes were driven with Bible verses. And the last part of the show itself, which was for me like the highlight of it, had the whole cast coming out. Instead of taking a bow, sat down on stage facing the multimedia screen. And the screen lights up with this film by this singer, Mandy Moore. It's an old film that she got a guy that was chasing after her saved. I've forgotten the name of the film. Only Hope is a song. It's a song. But the film showed the wedding when they were reading out Love is Patient, Love is Kind and everything. And that was how the show ended. And to my amazement, by the time we turned back, the whole hall was standing and clapping. So that sort of gave me a boost in everything that I'm doing when it comes to, if I'm doing a client's work, it's a client's work. You can't start telling the client, we need to preach the gospel. Nobody will call you the next day. But when I know that I'm telling my own story that we are putting together, it's the only thing that can come to my head, because God has literally arrested everything I do from a creative perspective. My paintings are scripture paintings from the weirdest way, which is another thing that I haven't yet seen somebody that is doing it. The first time my friends saw me do it, they told me that they will pray for me. Because the instruction is take my Bible passages and add on the canvas. That is what I want you to paint. I'm hoping, which I've been hoping for the past few years, to get to do the solo exhibition. I have some that I've been hiding so far in the studio that I hope to get to finish and do the exhibition this year, because it's my heart cry out. I can't paint anything outside that and feel contempt, like because of the way he has arrested it. So even with that, my friend, the last word from my friend was that if you're tearing the Bible, tear it slowly, in case it's your skin or your ear that is tearing. And if you tear it fast, maybe before you can stop it, the ear is gone. But that was how. So the boldness to shed the light. And the most interesting part is, the closer you are to God in your walk with him, the more you are intimate with him, he paints across everything you do. There was a picture he showed me, the Holy Spirit showed me like 5 years ago, that Christ, if I picture Christ as somebody that was dipped inside a paint that never runs dry, that I should know that the more I get close to Christ, the more that paint will rub off from me. And the more I spend time with it, the paint will come all over me. So if I go to another person, it will smear just like that. And so literally, the stuff that you do is an extension of who you are. I've taken some of my paintings to some banks, and they told me categorically, I cannot take it. I don't have any scripture on it. And the lady called me aside and told me, do you know what? I feel that there is a spirit on this thing that I don't feel is comfortable to be inside a bank. I was like, what spirit? So he kept asking, are you a Christian? I said, yes. Okay. No wonder there is something about it. So I left there happy that I have a relationship that nobody knows about, except if I tell you, but it's on my work. Because just like Christ said, a body you prepared for me. Every spirit, which I believe strongly that the world is, everything is spiritual. The world is more spirit than physical. What we do, there's a spirit upon it. So I'm very, very mindful of that. So in everything that I do, that boldness, God has given me somehow that boldness. So painting, if you don't like it, bye-bye. Art stuff, if you don't like it, don't buy the ticket. So God has given me that grace. So I don't hold back. Because if I hold back, I won't sleep in the night. I won't sleep. I know what will happen to me.
Wow. Okay. Thank you so much. Please, I think we should clap to that. Okay. One of my last questions for Boluji. How did you overcome the initial challenges, that's if you had any, of starting your own business?
Keep going.
That was very short, but
so it's keep going and have a community around you that kind of continues to push you. Because there's been plenty of times where I'm like, I don't know if this is worth it anymore. It's a bit too much stress. But is to have that community around you that are feeding back into you, saying, okay, you started something good, keep going. Where there are issues, they step in to also help you with that. So that's kind of how I faced challenges. There's also God, the God factor of when there are challenges to also say, Growing up, I grew up in a church where you don't question God. Lucky enough, I've come to tribe where I've also realized that it's a relationship. And there are good times and there are bad times. And in a relationship, you have to also be open with the other person. So there are times where you go back to God and are like, now you send me here. So we have to exactly say. And that's why I hold on to, in business, in my personal life, in certain things, of you go back to God and like, I'm facing an issue. You are the one that said I should come here, so how are we going to solve it? Or what are we going to do about it? So that's pretty much how I face challenges. And sometimes you cry.
Very important.
There's that.
Thank you. Okay, this question is for you. Are there any skills that have proven most useful in your journey so far?
Are there any
skills?
Skill.
Yes.
Oh.
The
skill of prayer. No, I am.
Is that a skill too? Okay.
I see.
Okay.
Any skill. To be honest, I don't think about this as a skill, but my greatest asset, I think, is my relationship with God. When I think about what I'm doing with my life now, like I said earlier, and I think he just said right now, creation is expression. It means that what you're doing is a manifestation of who you are. And so there's a way that my entire paradigm about life has changed now, where I am trying to understand who I am so that I can do from who I am. Do you understand what I mean? So in that, because for me, with that mindset, I don't have challenge. What I mean by that is, everything is just a delta between who I am and what I'm becoming. And I don't think about. I used to have challenge, but what I'm saying this is that when I was running my business as my business, there are challenges, obviously, and then that's when you have the regular, work hard, pray, ask for help, but I think about myself right now like a tree that you are growing. All the things that you are coming out of you, and in that regard, the only thing that gets me through challenge the only thing that gets me through difficulty is coming back into who am I? Do you understand? What am I expressing? What is coming out? I've hit a roadblock here. How do I get around it? But as an expression of who I am, as opposed to an aspire to perspire framework. You understand? So I'll give you an example because I like to be practical. This project that I'm doing right now is going to be the biggest thing I've ever done. And for me to even accept that I can do the project, I had to start looking inwards. And in the process of looking inwards, I saw where Jesus said in John chapter 5, he said, the Son can do nothing except what he sees the Father do. And as he sees the Father do, the Son does likewise. For the Father loves the Son and shows him all the things he's doing. So I saw that the way to do hard things is to see God do it first. If you see God do it, then if the Father sees the Son do, if the Son sees the Father do, the Son can do it. Right? So that's how I approach the things I'm doing now. It's like, what is the Father doing? Right? And so that becomes the framework by which I navigate. So every time I'm stuck, what is the Father doing? How is he doing it? I will share one last one and then I'll stop. In thinking about this, especially the agricultural project, I started to think deeply about what is the Father doing? And the mindset that I have now going into it is the miracle is not that we are doing 1 million hectares. The miracle is that if you drop a seed in the ground, a tree will come outside. It doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me that if we drop a corn in the ground and come back 4 months later, from that thing, we're not importing the leaves from China or anything, just like that. So that is the miracle. But there's a logistics to the miracle. Do you understand? It means that somebody has to put it in the ground. Before Jesus turned water into wine, Jesus said to people, fill the water pot with water. It means that there are people that had to do things in order for the miracle to happen. So in my head, I'm not doing anything extraordinary. I'm just gathering things so that the person that used to make tree to come out of seed will do his work. Do you understand what I'm saying? And so that's what I mean by coming from inside out. So ideas what I need to do comes out from me when I need to do it. And that's how I approach challenges, yeah.
Wow. Thank you. This was very, very insightful. Thank you guys so much. I just want to open the floor to everyone. Okay, you have a question. Wonderful.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
And thank you very much. Okay, so my name is Ebenezer, and I'm also a regular at Coffee and Code, so it's actually an amazing place. Yes. So my question goes to ICE and IK, right? When you were speaking, you kind of resonated around identity. Personally, identity is something I've been reading about this month. There's this particular book, because I had to check some extracts in the book while you were speaking. And my question is, how do you decipher identity? So the Genesis 30 illustration you mentioned regarding the stripe, it's also a very fascinating story to me because it was part of the things I read as well this month. I kind of... So, yeah, it's a beautiful thing because Pastor Sam, that's my pastor, says things like, everything we see in this world is built twice. One from the intangible realm, and the tangible realm is a byproduct of whatever has happened in the intangible realm. That's the identity, the spirit. So my question is, how do you decipher that identity in a world that is full of noise and ever-evolving representation? Let me give an example. Sorry if I'm taking a bit too much time. Imagine human life expectancy is 200 years, right? And 200 years ago, God put it in your heart, okay, create something that can help people move from one place to the other. exploration of that will most likely not be a car, right? It could probably be a chariot. And 50 years later, chariot is looking like it shouldn't even come to your mind in the first place. So now, understanding that our environment fuels our creativity and what exactly we do, how do you decipher your identity in those areas at that particular point in time? Wow. This is for me? Sorry, I mean, I can, because both of you spoke about identity.
Yeah, so who would like to go first?
Sorry, it just...
No. One thing I probably believe, is this. I think one of the first phone that I got back then, the first time ever the phone came out was Sony Ericsson. And I can't compare that phone to what I'm using now. And we always have this issue with iPhones or Samsung now when they bring out a new phone, in the sense that why you just adding just one new update or one new feature. Some say it's a marketing strategy so that if they put everything in the phone immediately, you will not buy the next phone. But I don't believe it's a market strategy. I believe it's in the level of capacity of what man at that very moment can actually put out. The first plane can carry 500 people. The idea was to create a technology that something can lift off the ground and land. 20 years ago, or even 50 years ago, nobody believed that by now, as of last year, I've forgotten the aviation company that has approved of a car that flew from London to Paris and back, making it possible that flying cars can start functioning. But maybe it would have been like the guy that came up with the idea of metrics. So that when he wrote the script of metrics, that was about 20 years ago, that technology was not ready. So everything that has to do with identity has to do with the time frame for it. And there is, if he tried metrics back then, metrics won't be what it is. There won't be a Keanu Reeves to even do it at the moment. There'll be another guy that would have done it, and the movie wouldn't have been what it is, because that movie was destined to shift the movie industry to what we might call visual effects and CGI to a whole new dimension with the rotating cameras and everything. So everything has to do with time. And there are some people that you might probably say they are the John the Baptist of those times, that their part is to echo it, and then the Jesus of those times will then move it to where it should be. Now when it comes to that level of what you're asking for, because a lot of things that, some of the things that I want to do, I might probably say some of them are limitations born in Nigeria because of where I find myself. The other part, limitations has to do with funds. Because sometimes when I talk with my friends, I tell them that when they brought Kim Kardashian to Nigeria, I heard somehow how much that was spent, knowing fully well that she was on stage for just 60 seconds. I cannot forget the guy that went to the restroom before she came up, because he came to just see her. But by the time he came up from the restroom and they told him that she was on stage, he didn't find it funny. But because I got a whiff of how much was spent, I knew that if you give me a scratch of that and I'll do a production for you, that production will never leave your memory for years to come. And so there is a lot that has to still do with finances, and same thing with that same timing, because a lot of things needs to be in place so that things can actually happen. Otherwise, it won't really exist. So everything has to do with age mostly affects a lot about those identities you're talking about. I don't know if I was able to answer.
Yes, you're able to answer.
Okay.
So thank you very much for the answer, actually. So maybe kind of, I have a theory. I don't know if the theory makes sense, but I do have a theory. I kind of wrote it on my board somewhere. Personally, I believe that when God bestowed an identity upon us, this is my theory. Please, you can critique if it doesn't sound good. It's always in a way relational to other people, because the very first stage of even understanding the identity and God's love in the first place is understanding that everybody in the world carries a portion of God, because God created man in his own image, right? So 200 years ago, the dream could be ensure that people get commute from one place to the other. Then the exploration of commuting is based on the limitation of what existed then. Don't be surprised, 300 years next, you probably don't have to go to one place to the other to get conversation. Maybe an hologram would fit. So I genuinely feel like, and picking from what you said, I feel like God's identity for us has to, one way or the other, relate to other people. And exploring what he wants us to do will be dependent on timelines, environment, and probably environmental factors. So that's what I was able to pick. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're correct. Because I believe you've seen this film. This film by this lady in Avengers. What's her name again? Scarlett. Yeah. No. No. The one she took a pill. No, she, like a pill busted in her system. Yeah. Lucy, yes. To a certain degree, there's a portion. See, whatever movie that is out here or is already out has a portion of truth as getting to our Creator God Himself, whether they are propagating the kingdom of darkness or not. But there's a level of truth in it. Einstein and a few others that they probably called geniuses based on what they could think of at their time. There was a trip I made in France. I went to the Louvre Museum. I left there sad. The reason why I left there sad, I saw artworks that was done in the 18th centuries, 17th centuries that were as big. First of all, the Sistine Chapel painting is the size of a football pitch. Sistine Chapel, size of a football pitch. That's one part. The other part is a ceiling painted by one man. And at the time where there is no art shop that is selling paints, so they had to use some leaves to grind it to make pigments to actually create colors to paint stuff that it's as realistic as what we paint now. Back then. So I believe that the human brain, if you can push it, if you can shut down, like you mentioned, every noise, that takes discipline. Like, I say that my house or my stay in Lagos is like Abuja and Lagos. I don't like Abuja. Abuja is too quiet. I can't stay there. It will drive me mad. But I love where I live in Lagos. It's away from the Lagos noise. When I walk into the estate, it's so quiet. I don't even know what's happening in the next person's house. So I can stay and think and create. So I can walk around the clock and not even know that maybe something happened to somebody in the next room. So that quietness is one part. But being able to shut down this, stay off Instagram, Netflix, TikTok, Twitch, everything, and focus on you to bring out you is the biggest work you have. If you can do it, you can live out the life having dominion, not just praying. There's a part the prayer does, because when we pray, we open a portal of our probabilities. But the other part is for us to walk. There's a path, like he mentioned, there's a path we have to walk, but we don't walk it. We pray it, the portal opens, the door opens, and after a while, like movies, They will tell you, oh, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. You see looking at the lady because you love her, or you got to, if you should you kiss her or not kiss her. Hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. The next thing, the portal closes and you're stuck in that place. So even when we pray and we open that place, the ability to just stay and just get that thing, everything you are meant to be on this earth, God has already put there. And a simple example, if we discover gold in Nigeria today, hello, that's not when God put it. He put it Genesis 1. So you discovering it now does not mean that was when God put it. So people wake up and still go to work. That doesn't mean that they are awake even though they go to work. If you understand the idea of metrics, you can still be going to work, but you're not awake. So people saying, oh, work culture, because you're awake to a reality that has been existing, just you're not aware you've been part of that system. So it takes, there's a part of us that we need to do it, but we like the party. We like the hangout. We like the family. We like everything. So by the time you know it, we are 40, we are 50. We've only done one thing. But there was something that R. Kelly said, and there was an audio book that I had to download that is titled Die